All right, with that, we bring in Matt Gorman, Vice President at Targeted Victory and former Senior Advisor to Senator Tim Scott, and Jose Aristimuño, I should say, former DNC Deputy Press Secretary and Latino Wall Street Media Director. Gentlemen, thank you both very much for being here as we wait for this live commentary by the governor of California about all of this. It's interesting to note, Jose, that one survey that Politico reported today says that 2-1, the people of California want to keep this with the independent board who is in charge of redrawing the lines. They do not want Governor Newsom to step in and redraw lines in California.
Yeah, Martha, look, I don't think the governor should step in the same way I don't think the governor of Texas should step in. You know, this is one big political drama, right? This is starting to look like a Netflix series, and it's so sad to see from both parties. The American people don't care about this type of issue. They care about inflation. They care about the economy, right? I would recommend, my recommendation very quickly would be to Republicans. We're a year out before the midterms, and your president, it's negative 25 points when it comes to inflation. So maybe he should start focusing about the, inflation, the economy, bringing the prices down like he promised he was going to do. And by the way, Democrats should do the same. I think both parties are falling into this trap that doesn't serve the American people.
I think his overall approval ratings is +1 right now. Matt Gorman, I want to bring you in, and I want to put up on the screen. Newsom is trying to fight fire with fire when it comes to social media posting, and he's sort of copying President Trump's way of posting things on Truth Social and putting everything all in caps and all of this, which, somebody on one of the other channels, oh, this is masterful in terms of trolling. But I think in some ways it does go to Jose's point. This kind of back and forth, how do you think it stacks up with voters?
Yeah, look, certainly we're going to run on the economy, and energy prices have gone down, and how, the state of America right now. But what I will say on the broadly on the redistricting is Democrats love to play with matches, and they never think they're the ones that are going to get burned by it. Texas didn't even start this. If you remember, Wisconsin, Democrats went to the courts trying to get more maps. I was at the NRCC in 2018. They tried to throw out the maps 6 months before Election Day. Maryland, Connecticut, Illinois, I can go on and on. So again, this is the continuation of Republicans finally catching up to what Democrats have done for the better part of a decade. We're playing by their rules. And I agree, today's the start of, Gavin's 2028 presidential campaign. He's bluffing. He can't get this done in time, but he can't back down now. He's kind of stuck.
Yeah, what do you think about Newsom politically, Jose, stepping into these waters and basically saying, however many seats you pick up in Texas, we're going to do the same in California, and also respond to Matt's point that the Democrats have done this for a very long time. We've shown many times the crazy map that exists in Illinois. It's also happened in New York.
Totally, and I'm with Matt. I understand the issue, but this is the problem is that it's a never-ending cycle, right? If we continue to do this, then come next time we're going to do it again, and we're going to do it again. I think maybe we should codify this in Congress, right? That we should because traditionally we do it every 10 years, but it's not a law. So maybe we should codify it, and have Congress come and step in. But it's a very sad thing to see, because at the end of the day, Martha, doesn't serve the American people. The American people want to put food on their table. They want to be able to pay their rent. They want to be able to put money in their pockets. And this sort of issue is not serving anybody.
So, well, Matt, I would imagine that the president's take, and just based on things that he said, would be that he wants to make sure he can carry out his agenda over the course of the next couple of years. And that's why he wants to pick up seats when it comes to the midterms. But this Politico piece today says a strange GOP divide is forming over Trump's gerrymandering plans, and it points to some in difficult districts who are afraid that they're going to lose their seats as a result of this. What's the inside baseball in the Republican Party about whether or not this is wise, Matt?
Well, look, this was also part of the reason why President Trump was so engaged and making sure that Republicans kept Congress last year. He knows, because he's been through it again, if Democrats take the House, one of the first things they're going to do is find some reason to impeach the president, right? Again, and put the country through that again. And look, at the end of the day, if you want to pass the agenda, which I believe Republicans can lower prices for people and make things going on the right track again, you have to have power. Gridlock, if Democrats take the House, which is more likely than the Senate, even though I don't think that might be likely in the House, you need power, and that's when you need to pass things. I think that is the reason why you've seen Trump interested in it last year, and they're going to put a lot of resources in this year as well.
Yeah. Well, we'll see where this goes. Jose Aristimuño and Matt Gorman, thank you very much.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.